Good morning, Charles.
Hi.
Are you well?
I'm trying to be. Let me see. Hi, Zandy.
Hi, Charles.
Good.
Good, thank you. How are you?
Tell me, you have changed your saying.
A long time ago.
I remember.
Yes.
Geze.
Yes.
You see, my memory is quite sharp.
It is.
Good. Nice to see. I'm trying to see whether, can you see me clearly, my whatever I'm going to present?
You might want to bring your camera. That's perfect. Perfect.
Moving, I think. How is it now?
It's perfect.
Ah, good. Thanks.
Yes. Okay.
So I'll stop the, where are we now? I'll stop the video and wait for others.
All right.
Good. Cindy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. How is Eswatini?
Eswatini is, we are okay.
Good.
We're continuing with, it's almost like it's getting to normal in a way. We're
Okay.
forcing it to be normal in a way.
That's fine. That's good. It's good to hear.
But we're still working largely from home.
All right. Because of the...
Okay.
So I think today is your day. You will see the number of participants in the room, then you can start.
Yeah, because there are only 10 now.
Yeah, we still have time. We still have about 11, 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Let me try and open the program. Or I was just checking if am I audible?
Yes, I think Preven is going to be sharing something now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, music and something whilst we're waiting.
Okay.
Good morning. Prevent, can you hear me? Can you please promote Petty Silitsina to panelists? She's connected as an attendee.
Please come again, Charles. Who?
Petty Silitsina.
Thank you, Charles.
Done, William. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is she now under panelists?
Yes, she is.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Let's see her name under panelists. Anyway, fine. Thank you.
Please check again. She's there. I see her.
Okay,
Oh.
fine.
Yeah, at the bottom. Oh, it's loading. I think, yeah, it's on my side, it's showing, but I see it. It's saying
Fine, thank you. Cindy, I think we can start. Hello, Cindy.
She was there a minute ago. Maybe she just popped off or something, Charles.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like she's just
Can you hear me?
dropped. It looks like she's just dropped.
Oh, maybe
Yes,
she's,
Charles, we can hear you.
maybe she's rejoined chairperson.
Yes, it looks like she's just dropped off.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, Charles, if you don't want to just make a start and then she can join.
Okay, fine. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our third webinar. And thank you very much for those who have joined us. Our chairperson this morning is Cindy Siwe from Eswatini. I think she has just dropped off, maybe challenges with internet. But as you have seen in the introduction, we've got 4 speakers. The first one is myself. My name is Charles Chikunda. I'm talking to you from UNESCO Regional Office of Southern Africa in Harare. Then we have Petit Silichena, the principal. Let me put my video on. My colleague here is reminding me that I must put my video on. The second speaker is going to be Mrs. Petit Silichena from Marymount Teachers College, who is going to share with us how she has embraced the change project that was brought by one of her staff members, and it became a part and parcel of the college. Then we have got a change project example from Zambia, from Mushinga. Then we've got a Sheperd Urenje who will give us some experiences with change projects. I think without the presence, I don't see Cindy. She's not yet back. I think I can start. What do you think, Hela?
I think so, Charles, and then maybe we could just, yeah.
Yeah, fine. Let me go ahead. Let me share my screen. I hope. Tell me, Priven, are you seeing anything?
Yes, Charles, we can see your first page of your presentation of your ESD change project model.
Okay, good. Thanks. Colleagues, the business of today is to talk about change projects and the change project model. As you know very well, the model that we use to try and transform our curriculum, our practices, our teacher education, our TVET education is a model which we call change project. So quickly, I'm going to talk about, why is it not moving? Yes, this is the structure of my presentation. I'll start talking about for us to have a shared understanding of what we mean by the change project. What is this change project in the context of teacher and TVET education? Then I'll quickly share with you, for some of you it will be a reminder, we'll quickly go through the qualities of a good ESD change project. As I'm saying, we went through this in our startup workshops, but we also have newcomers. Then I'll also share with you very quickly some of the experiences that we are facing as we do our change projects in institutions, and how we can support participants to transcend from teaching as usual to teaching sustainability. Now, what is this change project? A change project is any ESD project that brings about change in teacher education or TVET education, be it in the policy, institutional policy, or in a strategy, or in a curriculum or curriculum documents, learning programs, learning environments, but there should be some aspects of sustainable development in that transformation. So you can decide to say, I'm going to focus on my curriculum documents and integrate ESD, or I'm going to focus in my teaching methods, or I'm going to focus in my assessment and bring components or elements of education for sustainable development. Now, we've seen from the previous countries that we are working with and from previous programs, that some of the change projects can take the following types. Some people are focusing on the real curriculum transformation, that is focusing on the actual curriculum document, the content, assessment, and so forth. Some are simply saying, let me bring in intangible cultural heritage. Remember yesterday, Hela was talking about metaphors, our metaphors, when she gave an example of Lesotho to send a curriculum transformation under the hierarchy. That in its way can bring elements of ESD in your teaching. Some can focus on teaching practice to say, I want to change the way I teach. Instead of the lecture method, I want to take my students out so that they can see issues in the community. And then from there, we can learn and we can teach using, focusing on those issues. Mary Mount is going to give us an example of what they mean by whole institution change project. And also we have Mushinga who is going to show us an example of also community engagement in a change project. One important element of a change project is that it should be co-defined. There should be a process of co-defining matters of concern. So you don't change the curriculum on your own, you need others. You won't change assessment on your own, you need a community of practice. And the way we have nominated people for this course is to try and bring that structure of a community of practice in your institutions. This is why we're talking of who is the head of this community of practice. The whole idea is for people to work together. Now, that community of practice, which is a group of people who are willing to work together for transformation, is key to a change project. These are some of the guiding questions that we have, that we ask ourselves as we are coming up with our change project. For example, what is currently happening with regards to ESD integration in my teacher education or TVET education program, or in my department, or even in my subject area? What is working well? We don't want to pretend that nothing is happening. A lot is already happening. What is working well? And then what is not working so well? Then the key question is, how can we make it work better? That's a change project idea. Then in terms of coming up with your community of practice, you ask your question, what role does this person, what role should different actors in the institution play in implementing these changes? Ella gave us this 5-step action learning program. Again, it's something that can help you to respond to the previous questions. What is not working well? What is already working well? You can only do that if you review the context. And if you look at the 21st century teaching competencies, the advantage that we have here in Southern Africa is most of the countries have transformed their basic education and they've embraced what we call competencies in their basic education. So these are already there in our schools in most countries. So the next thing that you do, you now identify the relevant content or SDGs, then you use transformative learning methods, planning and undertaking alternative assessment together, and monitoring and evaluation together. This is very key in terms of transforming your teaching and learning. Let me now get into what we call qualities of a good ESD change project. Colleagues, this is not cast in stone. Don't take this as a Bible, but something that we came up with so that we can sort of give guidelines to people who are embarking on change project. The first thing is
Charles, your sound is coming and going a bit. I'm just wondering if you sit closer to your computer.
Okay, let me try to do that.
That's better, yeah.
I hope it's better. Let me now talk, qualities of a good ESD change project. The first one is A change project should respond to and potentially contribute towards relevant national institutional policies and strategies. And secondly, a change project should be aligned to national and institutional curriculum frameworks and potentially contribute towards curriculum innovation. You remember in the opening ceremony with key government officials who were giving us some curriculum frameworks, some enabling policy frameworks in the 3 countries. These should be our guidelines as we come up with our change project. I've given examples here of the the Tanzania curriculum framework, Eswatini curriculum framework, and also from Malawi. So a change project should be talking to these curriculum frameworks. Then thirdly, a change project should have a clear ESD thrust. Where do we get the ESD thrust? Very simple, from the 17 SDGs. If you hear our political leadership, they're always, most of them, if not all in the Southern region, they talk of Vision 2030. They are simply talking about accomplishing or getting done with these SDGs by 2030. So we'll be asking ourselves, how can my change project contribute to that national vision? Also, another quality of a good change project is it should enhance interdepartmental engagement and communication. As I said at the beginning, we were taught to teach in silos. I'm teaching history, you are teaching chemistry, we are teaching science and so forth. But if we're now talking of integrating ESD, there should be some elements of collaboration, elements of linking what is taught in history with what is taught in social science and so forth and so forth. And it should also have, a change project should also have a more institutional approach. The idea is to contribute towards the transformation of the whole institution. And the 6th one is the change project should focus on a variety of learning domains. I remember very well the way I went to school myself. The focus was on acquisition of concepts, cognitive domain. Now, I don't think we can transform the world by only focusing on mathematical concepts without appealing to values, emotions, and without taking action, and without transforming society. When Mandela said education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world, he was not talking about acquiring cognitive concepts only, but he was talking about an education system that cuts across a variety of domains, including social, emotional, behavioral, and action-oriented, as well as transformative. Then the last one is good change project should foster lifelong learning, that is learning to learn, continuous learning. In this we bring in a lot of things like learning to learn competencies, critical thinking, creativity, flexibility, adaptability, as well as problem solving, and many more. All these are found in our new curriculum frameworks across the Southern region. Then let me share a little bit with you the experience that the experience that we're making as we do some change projects in different countries. So far, we have change projects running in 6 countries. We have a situation whereby in each and every country, we come across enabling policy frameworks, very enabling. And right at the bottom, you also see some societal needs that should be informing education. Right in the middle of this E, this letter E, we have higher education that is grappling with complexity. There's climate change, there's gender issues, there's poverty, all those things that we can think of. So more often than not, you find colleagues in higher education, in teacher and TVET education, getting into a form of paralysis, not very sure of what to do. They are aware of things that are happening on the ground, which should be addressed in an education way, but they get into that paralysis, lack of agency. So we thought now and again, we should alert people that you need to cross this boundary from teaching as usual to teaching with sustainability. Now, for someone to cross a boundary, you need some boundary crossing objects. For example, if I want to cross a boundary now into Zambia, I need a passport, which is a boundary crossing object. I need the border crossing. I need transport. All those are boundary crossing objects. So we have made it intentional to say, whenever we're talking of change projects, let's give our colleagues these boundary crossing objects that I'm talking about. And they are very simple, very, very simple. For example, the Agenda 2063 is a boundary crossing object that you can rely on. For example, if you want to transform your curricula, you want to bring in elements of ESD, just go to this Agenda 2063 and say, what are the elements that are in there which we want in Africa that can come into the teacher or TVET education curriculum? The SDGs themselves, if you really look at them very closely, they are very nice boundary crossing objects. And we've made them look like we've Africanized them. You'll see them on the website. As I said previously, the basic education curricula in most countries has been transformed, and it becomes a boundary crossing object to say, I'm preparing a teacher who is going to work in a primary school. What are the competencies that that are required in that basic education curriculum? And am I preparing these teachers with these competencies? Again, these are boundary crossing objects. Things like critical thinking in my teaching. Am I inculcating in the future teacher competencies like critical thinking, diversity and acceptance of different cultures, accountability? I remember very well the Vice Chancellor of Rhodes in his opening statement was very hard on corruption, which is something that is cancerous in our society in Southern Africa. So the onus is on us to say, let's inculcate these values of accountability, transparency. Even if I'm teaching physics, how do I inculcate those values of problem solving, respect, acceptance, lifelong learning, Ubuntu, and so forth and so forth. So these become boundary crossing objects as you are thinking of transforming your curriculum. Again, I've mentioned these, they're all boundary crossing objects. So if we go back to that 5-action learning model, you need to be conversant with all these curriculum framework in your countries so that you can start and convince people. If you move into any department or Ministry of Education and say, I've decided to transform my teacher education or TVET education curriculum because this framework says this, everyone will listen to you. Now, again, I'm sharing with you a lot of boundary crossing objects like this infrastructure master plan. This was adopted by all the countries in the SADC region. SADC regional agriculture policy, which talks about greening, bioenergy, ecosystem protection, SADC industrialization roadmap. It mentions greening the economy, value chains. Even if when it is talking about mining, we always see elements of sustainability, which you can use to transform your curriculum. Then lastly, what I want to share with you is the change project. Although we encourage that it starts small with a small community of practice, it should be ever growing. It should move from a disciplinary change project to involve other departments, other disciplines, the whole faculty, and so forth and so forth. So there's also vertical scaling, functional scaling, and the horizontal scaling. We'll get these in detail in the course as we progress in the course. Thank you. Siyabonga. Asante sana, Mbathenga. Thank you very much. Back to you, Cindy. I can see you are in the room now. Over to you.
You know, this technology plays with us sometimes. I just went blackout when I said, can I start? Thank you very much for starting the session, Charles. And the colleagues, I think we have a very important program, just like the other webinars in the last days, because the change project is at the center of what we'll be doing in this course. So we are very happy that we have had the first presenter, Charles, even though we couldn't introduce him well because of the blackout to the side, but I really enjoyed that presentation. Thank you, Charles. And you introduced the concept well as you made us understand briefly what the change project is and what is expected in a change project, that we are not inventing something new, we are just trying to improve what we are doing and taking in the concepts, taking in the cross-cutting issues so that we become relevant in what you are doing. Thank you very much. If you have questions, colleagues, and I welcome you. If you have questions, please jot them down. We will have a Q&A. We'll have a Q&A session at the end. So please jot your questions down. They will be answered by the panelists today. And let me announce that we have the first presenter, but we have also 3 others that are coming today. They are all concentrating on the change project and helping us to really start off with this very important item for our course. Priven, you have a question, your hand is up, please.
Yes, thank you so much, Chair. Our presenter, Dr. Sheperd Urenje, probably will come at 12. He's in another meeting, so if we could wait for him and go with the other presenters first.
Is that Sheperd?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The second one on our lineup is we have Mshinga Kapelwa Mutu. He's a teacher educator at Mungu College of Education, Zambia. He is in the western part of Zambia, and his teaching experience spans over a period of 22 years. He started at lower primary and went up to upper primary. And then he went on to work also as a secondary school teacher before becoming as a teacher educator. So he's well experienced in the education sector. He specializes in primary school teaching methods and secondary school teaching of African languages, especially Zambian languages and history. He also has a postgraduate training in sociology and civic education with interest in curriculum design, implementation vis-a-vis indigenous knowledge systems and specific socio-economic and political situation. Currently, he is involved in training early childhood education teachers, primary school teachers, secondary school teachers. He's also a teacher leader for a change project entitled Education for Sustainable Development in Early Childhood Education by integrating urban gardening under the auspices of UNESCO ROSA and partners at Mungu College of Education. So ladies and gentlemen, can we welcome Mshinga to give us highlights highlights of the steps that one takes in setting up and implementing an institutional change project. Mushinga, I hope we are in the room. Please take over.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Thank you very kindly. Yes, as indicated, my name is Mushinga Moto from Zambia. I'm trying to share my screen here. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can, Shinga. If you can put it into in presentation mode.
Okay. Yes, hold on. Okay. That way?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Mhm.
So I'm going to make a presentation on setting up and implementation of a change project as it was done at Mungu College of Education in western part of Zambia. So may I first just give a picture of where this institution is. It is about 700 kilometers west of the capital, Lusaka. I must mention that it is the only public teacher education institution in the province. So it has a serious responsibility to ensure that it produces teachers who can initiate and sustain efforts of halting the poverty trajectory in the area through education provision, especially that the province is primarily rural with the highest or second highest poverty levels in the country. So that is just some pictures about the institution. The change project, as mentioned earlier, is entitled Education for Sustainable Development into Early Childhood Education by Integrating Urban Gardening. The objectives of the change project were to teach the students how to design and manage sustainable urban gardens, that is growing of crops in empty sacks and containers, then to teach the students how to make use of the sustainable urban garden environment in teaching early childhood education through integrated teaching pedagogies and child play. Now, given what Dr. Chikunda was mentioning, there is always need to look at the national educational framework and see how the project fits in. In the Zambia Education Curriculum Framework for 2013, which is being used currently, and it is an offshoot of the National Education Policy, the national concerns or cross-cutting issues include environmental education and climate change, life skills, health and nutrition, and so on. The National Education Framework also mentions that when the learners in Zambia get to secondary school level, they will be subjected to a two-tier system where they either choose to go the academic way or the vocational career pathway. The policy framework also talks about the fact that learning at early childhood education is highly holistic, meaning the children do not learn subjects separately. They learn within one lesson. They learn mathematics, they learn integrated science, expressive arts, and all sorts of things within one lesson without distinctly bringing them out to say, this is mathematics, this is this. The education framework also emphasizes the integration of skills within the activities that constitute child development. So the understanding is that if we integrate urban gardening skills within the education, it is going to be synonymous with the national aspirations and concerns or the cross-cutting issues that are mentioned herein. There is also an observation that we made as we were designing the project, that there are some writings, especially one component from UNESCO, where they indicated that while the majority of teachers in Zambia have teaching qualifications, there remain key challenges in one, improving teacher content knowledge, and two, improving pedagogical skills. So it became imperative upon us to ensure that whatever change project that we put in place, if we do not consider the aspect of content and pedagogical skills, then the change project would fail. So that is why pedagogical skills and content became critical in this change project, so that it can help in achieving the ESD brief and also achieve the Vision 2030 with less difficulty. We also observed that naturally in our society, agro skills and manual work have negative overtones. They are handled, like in schools, they are handled within the production unit. And in Zambia, I don't know other parts of Africa, but in Zambia, production unit is done outside classes, meaning production is not part of academic work. So we wanted to have a situation where we have a project where children learn together with the production activities like the growing of crops in containers. So this project frames the students into integrating social and economic activities in the ECE lessons using the urban garden as the universe of teaching and learning. We also build on the existing indigenous knowledge system, which look at teaching of children the social and economic skills as they learn as part of their child socialization. You can see in the picture there, a child is learning how to grow water, some children are learning how to cook, some children are learning how to do vegetables, but they are playing. And within the child play, that is how learning at ECE is done. So we wanted to ride on this child play and bring in socio-economic activities so that they are incorporated within the lesson. We also had to look at the college vision. What does the college vision say? Our college vision says the college should be a holistic teacher education provider, responsive to the needs of the child, the needs of the nation, and the needs of time. So we realized that our project would sit well with the college vision, the aspirations as in the Vision 2030, the Africa We Want 2063 agenda, the National Development Plan, and the Zambia Education Curriculum Framework 2013. Armed with all that, we attended the workshop, the national workshop on capacity building for teacher educators as regards education for sustainable development. From the national workshop, when we got to the college, it meant now explaining the project that was conceived and framed during the national workshop, explaining that to the college management. And it involved explaining the change project conceived during the workshop and its assumed course of implementation. We also informed the college the proposed, discussed, and created ESD community of practice. We lobbied for material and moral support, engaged the ECE students, and asked for land which was to be used for the project. When the land was given, it was a piece of land that was somewhere behind the computer room, the computer lab for the college, and there is a wall in front, so we just need to close the other part so that it is not easily accessible for destructive elements. And then we closed the other part that was part of the wall and the classroom using biodegradable material and the students did the work. You can see the COP members and the students doing the work. Then after that, we requested that we paint the walls of the project plot. The gentleman you see there is an expressive arts lecturer, and on the other side, the principal is participating in painting the walls. In no time, the walls were speaking the language of education for sustainable development. As you can see, then the students started organizing the material, putting the soils and organic matter in sacks, as you can see, in preparation for planting. In the next picture, a COP member who is also an agricultural science lecturer explains the planting of the seedling to the students. And after that, we started now looking at how do we prepare for teaching practice. The understanding in this project is that the students will get what they learn and replicate it and practice it as they go for school teaching practice in the school. That is going to be a sure way of ensuring that the idea in the change project trickles into the school. Only understanding that it can also trickle into the community. So we need to identify topics that are compatible with ESD in the syllabi that they are going to teach, the students are going to teach during teaching practice. Then align the urban gardening activities with the syllabus. Then teach the integration of ESD or urban gardening activities into the integrated pedagogies and child play. How do you make the watering of the vegetables that are growing in sacks as part of child play? How do you teach mathematics using the crops that are growing in the sacks? How do you teach social studies using the crops that are growing in the sacks? Then after that, we align the urban gardening activities with the ECE school daily routine. That is the managing of the vegetables growing in sacks within the college plot. And then when our students went for teaching practice, we had already visited an institution, one of the schools where our students chose to go and do their teaching practice, which is Namalangu Primary School in Senanga district, about 100 kilometers south of Mongu. When we followed up to monitor the teaching practice, we used the monitoring of the teaching practice to also monitor the progression of the change project at the school. So as you can see in the pictures, the children are already taking care of the vegetables. They are watering the vegetables using empty containers that were used for mineral water, for soft drinks, so that the issue of children's rights and abusing them does not arise. They are doing work that is within their means. And after working on this, we followed up the issue of community involvement, because there's need to approve, the community to approve, encourage and support the urban gardening taking place at the school. If the community is not involved, then you are in trouble. The community has to participate by replicating the urban gardening at their home. So we requested that the children can have those things that they are doing in schools. They can have, each child can have a small container at home where they are growing some vegetables, things like pumpkin leaves, onion, stuff like that. Then encourage the parents to encourage the learners to take part in the urban gardening at home. So that way, the activity that is taking place within the school is replicated in the villages. And when we followed up one child, we found that the mother and the child had done a lot of work, more than we expected, as they were growing sweet potato runners in the sacks as seen in the picture. So we were able to see that what we were doing at school was slowly trickling in the community. What does the future look like? Malcolm X said the future belongs to those who prepare for it. And if we can prepare our learners starting from ECE and early grade learning, then we are assured that a child in this in ECE this year 2021 will be in grade 9 in the year 2030. A child in grade 1 this year 2021 will be in grade 10 in the year 2030. So a generation would have been created that would positively handle climate change, end poverty, practice responsible consumption and production, reducing inequalities. They will help form sustainable cities and communities and promote gender equality. They will also pick up agri as a career pathway. We strongly feel and we are confident that if this project is implemented as it is coming up, we will have 11 SDGs attained out of all of them that are there. And that way, we feel we will have changed our society. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Mshinga, for that very beautiful presentation. We have always been complaining as colleagues that we don't want to add to what we're doing, but I've just seen how you have nicely integrated the concepts in your change project. You have also paid attention to the national policy and also asked yourself what's the gap we are closing, and then you also concentrate on the content or your curriculum. So it's not like you are doing something new. So it is a very great example of the change project, that we are not only doing something new, we are improving what we are doing. Thank you so much for that powerful presentation.
Thank you.
Colleagues, we want to go on to our next speaker. And our next speaker is Mrs. Petty. Let me get it right. Mrs. Petty Silichenga, who is an educationist and a principal at Marymount Teachers College in Mutare, Zimbabwe. She has risen through the ranks in teacher education, from lecturer to senior lecturer to principal lecturer, and has held various posts of responsibility, from head of subject to lecturer in charge to head of department to vice principal, up to her current position as the principal of the college, of the teacher college. She has taken keen interest in research and was the inaugural Teacher Education Research Council chairperson of Zimbabwe in 2016 to 2018. Petty has dedicated her time to educational administration, and she enjoys working with colleagues and the youth. And we are very happy to have her this morning, as he is going to present to us how leadership in an institution can embrace innovative ideas from their staff members. We are happy to have you, Mrs. Petty, and please share with us your experience as you work with your colleagues and the staff in the college. I hope we are connected.
I am connected, Cindy. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, please. Thank you very much. You can
Thank
take
you
over.
very much, Cindy, for the introduction. I am trying to share screen now. I may need some bit of assistance. Is Charles there? Charles, are you there? Can you hear me?
We can see your screen.
Good. Quiet, young man.
What
but
does
we
the
need
screen?
to.
I don't see my own screen here.
You need to open the PowerPoint first, Ms. Petty. Can you open your PowerPoint?
That's what I'm trying to do. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, open that.
Is that the one? Oh, why is it not showing? I can't see.
Okay,
it.
can you stop share now and then do a new share and pick your PowerPoint? That should work.
Stop share. I pick my PowerPoint first.
Is the PowerPoint open? If the PowerPoint's open, you can start share now and choose it.
Let me see. I don't want to panic. This is not the right time to panic. Can you see something? Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay, because I can see my PowerPoint here. What I need is to share it now. Where are my icons for
So if
sharing?
you go to Zoom and share screen in the bottom.
I go to Zoom. I can't see the, what do you call it? The icon for, oh, here, Zoom.
Yes.
I see Previn Chetty there. Now I
Yes,
can.
and then share
So
screen.
I
in the
need to
bottom.
share screen now. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I share. Can
There
you
we
see
go.
my PowerPoint?
Yes, perfect.
Yes,
Can
we
you-
can. Thank you
You
so
can.
much.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yes,
Thank you so
Betty.
much. Thank you. You know, like you were saying, Cindy, earlier, that technology at times can play up tricks on you at the wrong time. Anyway, thank you for the introduction once more, Cindy. And I am delighted to be part of this group, part of the panelists, and I'm happy to share with you what I have for Marymount Teachers College in Zimbabwe. It is a teachers college.
I don't know if it is possible, Patty, to go to presentation, but if it is going to disturb you, Jay, it's okay. It's okay. If it
You want
will
me
disturb
to?
you.
I think it will disturb me, Cindy. Let
Yeah,
me.
please
on.
just continue.
Can I carry on, Cindy? Hello?
Please do carry on.
Thank you.
Yes, my dear.
Thank you. I think really our major thrust today, colleagues, is why change projects for ESD and teacher education processes, examples and practice. And like I said, I'm happy to share with you my presentation, whose outline is as follows. I'm going to introduce my, my presentation, then I'll also share with you the name of our project as Marymount Teachers College. Then share with you again the guiding policies. We've been talking about policies. I think Charles in his presentation said we should take cognizance of the policies that may be guiding us. Then I'll also share with you something on youth mobilization, and the youth I'm talking about here really are our student teachers. And then the institutionalization processes, which I believe is the thrust of our presentation, how we institutionalize our change project. What is it that we do? Then some capacity building strategies, and also how we accelerate our activities. Then I'll share with you a few pictures as examples of what we do at Marymount Teachers College. For my introduction, colleagues, after sending 2 colleagues to attend a capacity building workshop on ESD organized by UNESCO, the 2 staff members came back excited, and they really wanted us as an institution to take this up to greater heights. And because we are training teachers, we thought this was quite relevant because, like we popularly say, sustainability starts with the teacher. Yeah. And therefore, we held a sensitization workshop on ESD with the whole college community. And that had been embraced initially by administration, and we felt it was important that we share with the whole college community. And from sharing with them, we came up with a community of practice, initially with just a few colleagues. And you know, from the definition that Charles gave us, I feel that we have a large community of practice. The smaller community of practice, together with the other colleagues, we then decided to do an environmental audit of the college. And we realized that there was a lot of litter in the college environment. And we said, guys, let's attack this and let's make sure there's no litter in the college. We had agreed to do that. So we came up with the name of our change project, which is integrating 21st century competencies in teacher education curriculum through recycling, reusing, and reducing waste. And we always talk of the three R's when we talk of our change project. But you'll find as we go on, the change project really has grown in leaps and bounds. Now let's go on to our guiding policies. The first one, we are guided by the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development. That speaks to heritage-based education 5.0, where we are saying we must be dealing with our own heritage, and let us make sure our staff and students, you know, embrace education 5.0. whose pillars are teaching. When we teach, let's make sure it's heritage-based. Our research should be localized. We also need to engage the community, and we need to make sure that our staff and students embrace innovation and also industrialization. That is our Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development. But as a teacher training college, we have a user ministry, Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. That has got its own policies as well that we as higher education need to embrace. And this is a competence-based curriculum that they talk about. Now, what are these competencies? I think we had a whole list of competencies that Charles gave us earlier. And we're looking at competencies like, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, innovation, collaboration, research, time management, assertiveness, and also entrepreneurship, and many others, as have been mentioned. So we said, oh, okay, we should remain relevant to our user ministry. And the other guiding principle is that of Vision 2030 that has already been mentioned on sustainable development. And we're actually embracing SDG goal 4.7 that speaks to quality education for all. And therefore we are being inclusive. And we also talk, are guided by the African Agenda 2063. Again, it has been mentioned earlier. What is the kind of Africa that we want? We need to be inclusive and make sure we capacity build and make sure that we engage in sustainable development. Right. Now, because we're at a teacher's college, we're talking of the youth, and we need to mobilize the youth for our change project, and we've successfully done that. These youth are our own students. We have engaged them in cleanup campaigns to make sure we get rid of the litter within college and also outside college. And we are happy that our own president has actually spoken to us about the issue of cleaning up our premises every first Friday of each month. And we are successfully doing that. Again, with the youth, we're saying, hey, student teachers, we need to be able to produce our own teaching learning aids using locally available resources. And we have said, because we wanted to motivate them, we have said we are going to be having competitions on creativity and innovation. And this motivated our students to really get engaged in that. And the students themselves have initiated an online debate on ESD issues. Now, what I want to emphasize here is that these students cannot work alone. They need the staff. So it means all that we do with the youths is also done with the staff members so that they are there to guide the students. And when the students see that staff members are also involved, administration is involved, they become even more motivated, and I'm attesting to that. Now, the institutionalization processes, working with staff and students. How can we possibly do that? We have said we need to integrate our ESD into the college curriculum. Yeah, we've already talked about the curriculum earlier. And we have said we want a whole institution approach, which is interdisciplinary in nature. Now, various disciplines, various sections, departments come up with ideas, and we implement these ESD activities together as an institution. And as administration, we said, how do we motivate our staff and students? We then said we are going to have an ESD budget, an ESD budget that will cater for any small needs, like maybe we're holding a workshop, we need some eats, we need lunch, and any other smaller materials that we may need to support the other materials that we have identified locally. And we found that this has helped to change attitudes among college community. And when they see administration is supportive, the staff themselves become supportive to the students, and the students take it up and they implement, and will always be there to support each other in a collaborative manner. So we have engaged and intensified our cleanup campaigns, horticulture activities, and so forth. And in these horticulture activities, we still make use of litter that would have collected around the college, and I'll explain more. And you'll find that it is very interesting in the sense that we're actually tapping on individual knowledge and skills and cascading this information to other people. Staff members, if they've got any talent, we tap on them. Students, if I can tell you now that we have a student who has actually donated to the college some beehives, and we have started that project. I'm going to show you this in picture form later. And anybody who has got a skill, some staff members have got skills like in horticulture, we actually embrace that, and we actually, engage in our change project. Now, acceleration of activities. We are dealing with the student teachers who will go out on attachment teaching practice. And we have said to them, you are going to engage the school learners in the schools, and you're also going to engage the community. And I'm happy with my colleague who has just presented on how they've approached the community. And maybe we still need to do a little more about, following protocol in engaging the community. But the number one community we're talking about is the school, with the school learners. And we've encouraged our students to do a lot there, but they can still go out to the wider community. Therefore, we are engaging staff and saying, when you go out for teaching practice supervision, take this instrument and you score the students on what it is that they do for the community, with the community. And that has worked out very well for us. We have recently launched a Trinissar Project, and here we are saying students and staff must learn to conserve the environment. And this has worked out well, and the project is growing in leaps and bounds. Beekeeping, I've already said, and this helps our students and staff, to acquire entrepreneurial skills when they do these entrepreneurial activities. We have one very exciting project that we have carried out, that of fostering a child. We've called it Lean, since the age of 2 days, not 2 years, but 2 days old in 2015, where our students went out on a cleanup campaign by a hospital, a provincial hospital. They saw this old lady sitting there with a baby. They engaged with the old lady, only to realize the mother of the baby had died on giving birth, and the father was not known. And the students came back running to administration to say, we saw this old lady with a baby, we want to look after that baby. And we agreed, and that is a project we are really proud of. And up to now, the baby is a girl. She's now going for ECDB, and we are very excited about it. But we have said to ourselves, to be able to do all that we do, we need to network with stakeholders. And we're networking with Environmental Management Agency on issues of Trinissar Project, Forestry Commission, City Council, National Parks and Wildlife, and also the Manica Youth Association. Now, examples in picture form. Community of practice. We have staff. When I say staff, I mean academic staff, support staff, and also students in that group of community of practice. And that actually shows that we are working together. That picture there shows the environmental audit that some of the members of the community of practice actually did, where they were walking around, and this is what they discovered, that we have lots of litter around the college. The cleanup campaign I was talking about, the ladies in green there are our own students with other members of the community, especially from Environmental Management Agency, cleaning up in town. The teaching learning media that we talked about, to say that our students should be able to make teaching learning media using litter, what we would normally call litter. That picture you see there shows the respiratory system, and that is done from an empty bottle, plastic bottle, and it works out well when teaching about that. Then another teaching learning media, the spoons that we use to eat our lunch, these plastic spoons, we've assembled them together to make a lamp. And as a teaching learning media, students can learn about electricity and lighting up the bulb that is neatly enclosed in nice lampshade. That picture there shows a group discussion during a workshop at college, and their students and staff members, and they're actually discussing issues pertaining to the workshop that we have. An interesting thing that has happened to us during college assembly, one of our students there, who is a poet, actually decided to present a poem on ESD, and it was really very fascinating. This shows how much the students have embraced the change project. That is the beehive. That's one of our lecturers, but like I said earlier, the beehives, 3 of them as a start were actually donated by one of our students. So you see how students and staff, work together. Yes, and that's our baby Lynn, a little grown now, more than 2 days, but she kept growing, and there she is here. Our staff and students went to actually deliver some goods, some groceries for Lynn, and that is where she stays. And that was in 2016. She was now a year or so older than when we picked her up. The stakeholders are attending the tree planting launch, tree nursery project launch at college. You see that's the principal in green there, and some stakeholders that we work with, so much. And colleagues, in conclusion, I would say change projects for ESD in teacher education are very important, because teacher education is a vehicle for sustainable development. And collaboration or teamwork is very important, where admin, staff, students, and stakeholders work together. We also are saying, let us embrace solving our local challenges through homegrown solutions. And we are also saying it is important that we develop a community of service that involves staff and students. And therefore, our teaching and research should be heritage-based. We need to make sure we involve with the community as much as we can. In that way, we sustain ourselves, and we should be innovative, and we should industrialize so that we build the Africa we want. And in that way, ladies and gentlemen, I want to emphasize that sustainability starts with the teacher, but the teacher needs to be assisted by the staff members, and administration ought to be very supportive in carrying out a change project. And with that, allow me to say thank you very much for listening. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you so much, Patty. Thank you for abandoning the office in order to share with us this wonderful, wonderful example on how we can institutionalize the change project and even take it out to a wider community. I noticed that you said that you highlighted how the first step is reporting back to the institution as one of the most important steps. So colleagues, let's try and lure our administrators, our managers by reporting back and reporting with passion, and show the passion that you are also sold out in this cause, so that they can really also see how important it is. And also you added that you have guiding policies for the change project, which we will also copy from you. And you also gave us a very good example of integrating and implementing ESD in a competency-based curriculum, because some of us, like Eswatini, we have delved into the competency-based curriculum. So we have a very good example also on how to integrate and implement the ESD in that framework. We also learned of the whole school approach, whole institution approach to doing the change projects, which makes it easier to even upscale it. And also you gave an example of how we can integrate assessment of our various subjects and integrate ESD on that. So thank you very much. There are so many points that you gave us, and I hope during discussion, our colleagues, the participants, will have a number of comments and issues, because this is a very good example also of a working change project. Thank you so much. We are moving on because we are running out of time. We have our last speaker. I hope Dr. Urenje is already here.
Yes, he's in.
Oh, thank you very much. We have our last speaker for this program. He is Dr. Sheperd Urenje, who is a program specialist in sustainability education and environmental health with the Swedish International Center of Education for Sustainable Development. And he is a director of Uppsala University Campus, Gotland, ESD Learning Laboratory. He currently works to support teaching and learning for the future within and among countries in the Scandinavia, Africa, and Asia. His expertise includes capacity development in learning for change to address the 21st century demands for a changing world. Dr. Urenje studied developmental education at the University of London, United Kingdom. His professional background includes teaching environmental science and development education in Zimbabwe, regional program manager for education and training at the South African Development Community, SADC, and principal examiner of environmental science in the UK. His research interests include teaching and learning for the 21st century, learning for social transformation, the role of teacher education in environment and sustainability learning, capacity development in environmental health and education, and transformative learning in global health, among others. So he is a very experienced teacher educator and on ESD issues. He's now UNESCO Global Coordinator of the Global Action Program of Priority Action Areas, especially area number 3, which is on increasing the capacity of educators and trainers to mainstream ESD in their work more effectively. So I will cut short because this is a very experienced panelist, and I would give him the time before I finish the minutes he has, and giving the time to share with us. So Dr. Urenje, please, You are welcome to this meeting. We're happy to have you.
Thank you
can
very
take
much
over,
for
sir.
having me, and thank you for all those things that you were saying about me. Before I move on, I would like to know how much time do I have? It is now 16 past.
You have 20 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am very happy to be with you here in this another program of sustainability start with teachers. I have got a long history with this project since the Global Action Program of UNESCO in 2017, when we started off with 9 countries, and then it has developed into this, and I'm very happy to be still around. I will share my screen now. What do I want? I want this and share. Present. Okay. All right. As I said, I am really happy to be here. I resonate very well with this project. I know it well, and it is my pleasure to be given a chance to talk to you. Yes, my talk this morning has been, the topic that I was given was why change projects. And I am going to zero on the situation that I have experienced in most change projects and see how we can maneuver around that. And I've called it grappling with complexity and powerlessness in implementing education for sustainable development. And as has been mentioned, my name is Sheperd Urenje, and I'm coming from Uppsala University in Sweden. Okay. I will begin a little bit with a background so that you will understand where I am coming from with the things that I am going to talk about. The first background item that I will mention here is that of the Baltic University Program. The Baltic University Program is a combination of universities which are in countries surrounding the Baltic Sea. From the map that you see on the right-hand side, each red dot there is a university which is part of the Baltic University Program. But we are only working with 8 countries, 15 institutions in 8 countries. Together with Åbo Academy in Finland, we are running an ESD course for Baltic University teachers. And in each of those, we have initiated and we are supporting change projects. As I mentioned earlier on, I was part of the UNESCO Global Action Program in 2017, which was running this project, Sustainability Starts with Teachers in Southern Africa, together with another program which was running in Central Asia, where SWEDESD was supporting 4-country projects, which were in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Tajikistan. So this is another place where I am deriving my change project experience from. These are the 2 that I will cite for now. I will not mention the others. It is not important at this stage. Okay, I would like to start with this question here. What is our real challenge in education for sustainable development? I am asking this question pertaining to the reasons why we will need to change, why the change project is going to be of help to the work that we do. So, what is our real challenge? The real challenge with many initiatives that seek to create change has to do with why human beings are organized at the level of emotion, identity, and self. And also why, how, for whom, to what degree learning, growth, and change actually occurs. I would argue the presentation of information to people to create change with attitudes, behaviors, policies, often succeeds or fails, not much because of the soundness of the information that is provided. the facts that are presented, or the clarity of arguments or presentations, the urgency of the issues at hand, the support of government, etc., etc. So why does change fail? Change fails due to highly complex human interactions between seemingly extraneous peripheral factors. For an example, we have known about climate change for decades, but despite that, despite thousands of advertisements, campaigns, papers, presentations, books, videos, meetings, conferences, grants, policies, and workshops like this one that we are in, we still encounter considerable denial in climate change. Only now we are beginning to see results in substantive action that has any chance of being ameliorative, and which is still nowhere near what is required to deal with this existential threat to all of us. And the big question that I have here is, what kind of education will take us out of this powerlessness? The situation that we find ourselves is that we tend to be in a situation where we don't have power to change things. We're still talking and we are not changing things. What kind of education will take us out of this? Your change project should address this, because these are the real issues that we are encountering in our vicinity and in our surrounds. And we also talk about wicked problems. The real reason, I will argue, why change is so slow is because most of these environment and sustainability challenges are wicked problems. Sustainability issues are complex, they are contested, and they are contextual. They are wicked problems whose solutions are not fully understood. And they keep shifting when we try to define them. Many of the elements are hidden, and the possible solutions are multiple, and they are often not quantifiable, and there cannot be a right, we cannot have a right or a wrong. Again, I go back to my questions with reference to your change project. What kind of education will take us out of this paralysis? The fact that these are wicked problems, difficult to define, they keep shifting, etc. Does this paralyze us so that we are not able to change? Education can take us out of this, but what kind of education is that? How is your change project going to address that? And we have got issues with COVID right now. We seem to have found a solution, but the big question is, vaccines, when they came, are these vaccines for all, or we now have vaccine apartheid? I say so because when you look at low-income countries, they have received only 0.2% of the global supply of vaccines because of the massive shortfall in available doses, despite being home to 10% of the world's population. Where is the medical ethics here? And another situation here is an example of South Africa, where Moderna offered South Africa a price between $30 to $42 a dose, which is nearly 15 times higher than the potential production cost. So the big question that comes in here is, do we have people's vaccines, or these are now vaccines for profit? Why is it important to education? Why is it important to teacher education? Are we preparing our young people for a time like this? How is your change project going to address issues like this so that we prepare young people so that they are able to cope in a world which experiences wicked problems like this one here? So this COVID crisis that we have, together with climate change, we can now refer to them as super wicked problems. How are we preparing our student teachers in your change project for this kind of a situation? Okay, so your change project should be linked to sustainable human development. Higher education, science, and technology are often cited as critical for sustainable development in Africa. But the question is, how do we reconcile industrialization, economic growth, and massive middle-class expansion with a healthy planet? Is it possible to have industrialization, economic growth, massive middle-class expansion, and a healthy planet? Your change project should address these issues. What is your change project addressing? The provision of relevant and quality education is considered key to responding to these challenges and improving the livelihoods of millions of Africans. However, the assumption is based on an insufficient critical understanding of the historical role of education in supporting unsustainable development. Do we know enough? The problems that we have in Southern Africa, I would argue, are also a result of our education not being sufficiently critical on what we have learned in order for us to tease out the role of our own education in supporting the unsustainable practices that we are currently experiencing. Allow me to use Richard Feymey with his quote where he said, "I would rather have questions that cannot be answered than answers that cannot be questioned." I am saying this with reference to the role of your change project in your society. My other argument here would be most of the challenges that we have in Southern Africa are the so-called solutions that we are prescribed, which we are not questioning. And there is a problem with that. What we should be asking really is, do we understand the historical role of education in supporting unsustainable development? If we ask this question with reference to our change project, we will be on course of being relevant in the situation in which we find ourselves. We want your change project to be relevant. Your change project should address current issues. Your change project should actually generate a lot of questions, even those that cannot be answered, as long as we are being critical. Okay, and the next thing that I would like to address here is a situation where who is your university serving? Okay, the question is your university an African university, or it is simply a university in Africa? Some universities in Africa are not reflecting their Africanness. So there are two schools of thought here that I would like you to consider when you are looking at your change project. They are worth looking at. One is Afrocentrics or Afrocentrism, which places Africa at the center, historically, culturally, philosophically, and morally. What we are saying here is embracing African traditions of knowing and knowledge production is important. Also, educational syllabus and curricula and the criteria for research activity should reflect the Africanness of your institution. On the other hand, you have got Afro-skeptics or Afro-skepticism, where there are reservations about the idea of Africanizing universities. The argument being it involves reverse discrimination, self-marginalization, and it lowers the standards. Also, it is incompatible with commitment to multiculturalism and diversity, and it is unlikely to prepare students for global economic competition. My argument is it is possible to have both. It is possible to have an African university in Africa and also to have excellence. And therefore, the tension that we have here can be erased. We want to be an African university in Southern Africa. there is a tension, really, if you consider what I've been talking about earlier on, the tension between relevance and excellence when it comes to Africanizing our curriculum. If the development discourse has moved away from a sole emphasis on education, on economic development to human development, then content and the purpose of curricula in an African university should be interrogated. So what am I saying here? I am saying that contextual relevance is important. Academic excellence is important. We should not have tension, which will be negative. Instead, we want quality education, which brings contextual relevance and academic excellence together. And this can be addressed with your change project by being relevant contextually and also maintaining academic excellence. So quality education is possible. Now, I will take this into the next thing that I will discuss here, where contextual relevance and academic excellence have been put together to come up with quality education in a change project approach that has been embarked on at Midland State University in Zimbabwe. I will argue we cannot have quality education without education for sustainable development. Let's see what has been happening at Midland State University in Zimbabwe. We have got two champions here. One of them on the left is called Dorothy Chinofunga and Million Chauraya on the right. What these two people have been doing at Midland State University has changed a lot of things. Now, I was attending a conference hosted by the National University of Science and Technology in Zimbabwe. It was an online conference. And in this conference, there were five presentations from the Faculty of Education, Midland State University, and each of them was outlining a change project in their subject area, which they were been highlighting. Okay, I will not be able to talk about all of them. 3 of them are here that they were presenting. Okay, so what has been happening here? So the change projects at Midland State University started with the Faculty of Education that accepted that we need to change and we need to change now. So the Faculty of Education worked with the teacher education departments in order for them to facilitate change so that these changes are in line with the 21st century demands. So we have got changes in natural sciences, social sciences, technical and vocational, theory of education, ICT. These are not all the departments, these are just some of them, but I will only talk about 2. I will talk about what happened in the faculty, and then I will talk about what happens in technical and vocational sciences. So example 1, integrating ESD in teacher education curricula. So what happened here is that the faculty was looking at a guiding framework where global issues and the Zimbabwean education curriculum were harmonized, were brought together. So what they first of all did was to streamline or look at or analyze the global issues, and then they brought the cross-cutting themes in the Zimbabwean curricula together. What they were saying is, on the right-hand side, we have got global issues. On the left-hand, on the left-hand side, cross-cutting themes in the Zimbabwean curriculum, and on the left, global issues. That is, how can we bring these things together so that this university becomes relevant in Zimbabwe, in the region, and in the world? So the result was, we are taking the sustainable development goals here, how we harmonize them with the curriculum. And this is what happened. On the left-hand side, the 21st century competencies as outlined in education for sustainable development. And on the right-hand side, those are the competencies in the competence-based curriculum which the Ministry of Education in Zimbabwe has embarked on. So what are they doing at the Midlands State University? At faculty level, this has happened. Revising modules and module outlines, aims and objectives to incorporate 21st century competencies, and then 2, teaching approaches to emphasize active learning pedagogies, and then number 3, assessments to focus on testing acquisition of lifelong competencies and attitudes. So that's the first thing that has happened. So the second thing that has happened is enacting pedagogies that foster ESD competencies. So what was the change? The change was to shift from lecturing and tutoring to active learning by students. What they realized was when they go out to see student teachers in their teaching practice, if they are not practicing the participatory methods that the lecturers taught them, the problem could be the lecturers themselves. They are not doing it in the lecture room. They are not doing it at college. So the idea here is, while still at college, the lecturers should use the same methods that they would like to see their students doing in the classroom. So that's what 2 is standing for. Then number 3, changing assessments to strategies that measure substantive learning outcomes. What they realized was, if assessment has not been changed so that it is in line with ESD, then we are not going to teach it. So what did they do? They changed their assessment tasks that measure lifelong competencies and attitudes, and also assessment tasks that are linked to real life problems. And fourthly, research projects topics that support ESD competencies were encouraged whenever research students are engaged. So what they did was, now the faculty recommended that these 4 areas should be taken up by departments when they are revising their curricula. So this is what happened at faculty level. And then our example 2, what is happening at departmental level? I will take technical vocational teacher education curriculum in this case. And what they did was they referred to it as rebranding modules. So they are rebranding their module outlines. What I have here on the left-hand side is the old module. These are just titles for the old modules. The one that I have in red is the one that I am going to discuss later on. So this is the old, and on the right-hand side, we now have the new. So they changed, for an example, I could say, they changed from art and design, it is now called creative art design and wardrobe management. From constructive technology, it is now called innovative industrial construction technology for sustainable development. From clothing production and management, they changed it to industrial garment production and management techniques for industrial sustainability. Principles of food science, they now call it principles of food technology and design. Food technology is now called indigenous and contemporary food technology and design. And they've got a new one, food product development technology. So this is what they have done. And the result is, I am fascinated by this one. If you look to your left-hand side, you have got this one here, indigenous breakfast cereals. This is one out of many of the examples that are coming from their student innovation samples. I will not dwell too much here because I don't have any time. My time will be up very soon. So this chart here is supposed to show us the value that the change projects have created in the Faculty of Education at the Midlands State University. I will not read them at all. I will only concentrate on 2 of them, which we will find at the bottom there where my red ring is found. So the first one that I will consider is the applied value. In other words, here we are looking for any evidence of changed or changing practice, any tools that have been developed, approaches changed or changing in systems. I will only read two. Sorry, I only read the first one here. Otherwise, it will take a lot of time. You can read this slide later on when you access it. So they say, we structured the modules and the module outlines. These are very useful materials because when we rebranded the modules, the aim was to meet the demands of the 21st century, which is very crucial. Then I will go on to the second value that was created here, which is referred to as the realized value. Any evidence of changes in performance? They say, yes, some of our students have already started working on various products using the available resources and generate income, which is good. Some of the problems in the food industry, like food loss, are being addressed because of the change projects. So this is the value that has been created by the change projects at the Midland State University. It is a whole institutional approach where the faculty has encouraged each and every department to revise their curricula in line with the 21st century challenges. I think with that, I should stop here because my time is up. So I will say to you, thank you. Zikom kwambili, asante sana, ngiyabonga kakhulu. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Urenje. Thank you for sharing your experiences, and it's really, really enriching us and eye-opening. And I think, colleagues, now you really see the light. You see the light and you see the importance of what we are doing, not only for ourselves, but in improving the quality and the lives of so many people. You know, the questions that Dr. Urenje asked at the beginning are questions that we should start to ask ourselves as we initiate the journey of change projects. What is it? What is the real challenge? And he has helped us to even think deeper. Why have other initiatives failed in the future? So I hope that we'll again spend some time, go through all these very important presentations which are there to assist us as we start this exciting journey, as we start to work on making an impact, a lasting impact or a legacy in our institutions, and also upscaling to the communities we have. It's so sad that our time is up, but we'll give you some time for questions. Our panelists are still here, our presenters are still here. If you have a question, please, you can raise your hand. And if there is a burning question, like as already stated, you will get the presentations, and I can't wait to get them myself before I start on my change project. Read and internalize and make sure that what we are bringing in is quality, is relevant, and it leads to excellence. Any question, anyone with a question? Or someone wants to comment?
Chair, we have 3 hands up.
Oh, they are not visible in my.
Can allow them
go to
to
the
talk?
yes, please, because they're not visible in my. So please, anyone can go in, but make sure that if someone has started, because the hands are not visible in my screen. Those with the comments and questions, colleagues.
Okay, we have allowed participants with hands up to speak. Fanny, you can go first.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
Zakaria, you can go. We can hear you,
yes.
Zakaria.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Zakaria Francis from Tarime Teachers College in Tanzania. So my question goes straight to the presentation, which was about the curriculum transformation. As we know that in Africa, many of our schools, we really put parents behind to embrace this ESD. So my question is, how can we involve parents to embrace ESD when we do this curriculum transformation?
Can we take another one? Another question? I see Fanny. Please, Fanny, go ahead. Fanny, unmute and speak, please.
Fanny is the one who has spoken.
Oh, where is Zakaria then?
I'm not sure. No, I'm mixing up.
It was Zakaria who was speaking. Please, colleagues, anyone with a hand up, please speak. We are running out of time.
Chairperson, can I also just advise people that want to speak, we are giving them permission to unmute, so that you just check the screens to unmute so that they can speak.
Yes, thank you.
So Iris, we've asked you to unmute. Fanny, we've asked you to unmute. And Mawa, we've also asked you to unmute. So you are permitted to speak. Please go ahead.
I'm speaking from Korogwe TTC. Let's see. Do you hear me?
Yes,
we hear you.
Please go ahead.
Yes, I'm speaking from Korogwe TTC. My question is, how do we try to make educational stakeholders, including authorities, to make a platform for those who taking courses like this one to be allowed at least to interact with the institutions or any other parts which we need to implement these ESDs. That is my question. Maybe it can be how can we influence them? How can we give them at least the ABCs on this ESD so that they allow trainees on this ESD to impart knowledge to responsible societies? Thank you.
Thank you very much, but I'm not clear who are we giving the ABC, please?
Education stakeholders in the institutions and the nation at large.
Or the key stakeholders.
Yeah.
So how can we give them
in order to get a platform of implementation?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next one.
Mama Iris, you may ask your question. Clementina, we've given you permission to speak. You may go ahead. Chair, while we wait for them to speak, there's a question in the Q&A from Dr.
Tikati. Yes, I'm taking it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And there was another one from Veronica Kaunda, also in the Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see it?
Colleagues, are you still coming with the questions?
They've been given permission to speak, but I see on my side they're still muted.
There's nothing.
Yeah, they're not
okay.
Speaking.
Maybe we have 4 questions so far, even though they were not clearly directed to someone, but the one on Q&A, the first one by Absalom Charles says he would like to answer that. So may I start with that one? It says, please can you cite some more examples on the boundary crossing objects and challenges?
I try to respond. Thank you. Can you hear me, Cindy?
Yes, I can hear you.
I responded as well in the Q&A, in the chat, maybe, but I can quickly say the easiest boundary crossing objects that you can get are policies, national policies, frameworks, curriculum documents that you can enable you to do curriculum transformation. You saw from the examples that we got from Marymount and from Zambia, from Mushinga, the first thing that they did was to cite relevant policies in the country, and they used that to initiate their curriculum transformation. So these things can easily catalyze you into a change project. Thank you. Cindy, you're muted.
Sorry, sorry. Thank you for that. The second one in the chat, it says, I think it's for Patty, this one. It says, can you please share how you solicited the support from colleagues in the institution? What was the strategy used to solicit support for from the other colleagues? How did you get them engaged? Patty, are you hearing me?
Yes, I am, Cindy. Thank you very much for the question. You know, as an administrator, you ought to have some strategies to engage your staff. And in our case, I believe our strategy was that of communication, whereby anything that takes place in the college, and that is very important, and we feel we need to work together, we have a platform where we share as staff members. And in that way, we're actually buying in their interest in whatever we'll be doing. Like in this case, for the change project, we really felt that we needed to share with the rest of the staff, and even those who had attended the initial workshop with UNESCO, we gave them a platform to actually share it, and they shared it with passion, like somebody said earlier. And exactly that's what happened. And in that way, you really gain support. And also the issues of transparency. You just have to be transparent. Anything that you do, make sure your colleagues know about it, and you'll have lots of buy-in in that way. And maybe my colleagues can add on to that, but those I found the best strategies for us: communication and also issues of transparency. Just showing people you care for them, you understand them, you know their needs, personal needs, you know we work together in a collaborative manner. That's how we manage. Thanks, Cindy. Thanks. Cindy, you're muted.
Unmute.
Yes. Question number 3 says, how can we orient the key stakeholders on the ABCs of ESD? I would ask the presenters to maybe quickly share their views on this one. How can we orient the key stakeholders so that we are able to win them on our side, on the ABCs, the key concepts, the key understanding on ESD? I think the presenters can.
Okay, I will attempt to take that one, although I don't understand it very well. Okay. What we have done with reference to including key stakeholders was the first thing was to involve the participation of the dean. The participation of the dean and the heads of department to try and make it possible for them to understand. Because when I am doing workshops with the deans, I don't talk about education for sustainable development already. I talk about quality education, I talk about good education, I talk about quality, I talk about relevance, I talk about quality and relevance, and I also talk about creativity and critical thinking. All those things, you will find them in every curriculum, okay? So when we discuss that and say, how do we arrive at this? And then if this is something that they want, then I will then go on to say, you can refer to this as education for sustainable development. My definition of education for sustainable development is quality education, which is relevant, which is contextual, and that's what most want. So if you win, the dean and the heads of department, this is something that they will want to do. So you will also need now to be transparent, as the principal has said, and to communicate. You need to run a workshop with the concerned people, stakeholders, to explain what it is that we would like to change. As I said earlier on, it is not only our knowledge of what should change that will make us change. You also need participation and colleagues and attitudes and feelings, etc. So this all needs to be combined in a faculty workshop or a departmental workshop to understand what it is that we want to change. I will end there.
Can I add, Cindy?
Thank you. You want to share something, Charles?
Very quickly, and in support of what Sheperd has said, you saw from the opening ceremony, we invited senior officials in government. These are key stakeholders, and these are policymakers. So involving them at the early stage like this will enable transformation to happen in institutions. That's number one. Number two, in your nomination forms for this course, we said we needed endorsement from the head of institution or the dean or the chairperson. This is to enable them to support you whenever you're doing the transformative work in your institution. Lastly, as a package to this program, we also have what we call policy dialogue. At some point down the line, after 6 months or 7 months or a year, we are going to invite policymakers in your countries. Then we showcase transformation work that is happening, because they gave us the go-ahead on Tuesday, and we're asked to work for a period of, say, 9 months to a year. Then we'll say, this is the work that we are doing in our institutions. These are the transformation that is happening. We call them again, and then they'll say, thumbs up. We've done that with the previous countries, and we're given thumbs up. Then lastly, very related to the same question, somebody asked about how do you involve parents as key stakeholders? And that one is not very easy, but you have seen from the examples from Zambia and the example from Marymount, they've done their change project in such a way that parents will end up getting involved. And as the principal of Marymount said, we have a lot to learn from the example of Zambia. We even followed up in communities, in people's houses, to see whether the change that is happening in the curriculum is also getting into communities. So that's one way of doing it. And we thumbs up the example in Zambia. We are all going to learn that way, and we leave it to change project agents who would come up with several ways of engaging parents. Thank you, Cindy.
For taking even that one. I think one that is seems to be pressing now, because we are pressed with time. I think we will engage with the others as we go. Is something on resources. I think I have two participants asking about what if my change project needs some resources. Where can I get support? I don't know if the presenters can give us some experiences or share some experiences where they needed financial resources, for example, well, for some of the material they wanted to use in their change projects. I'll give about
Cindy,
2 minutes.
Cindy,
2
can I come
minutes,
in?
please.
Can I come in, Cindy?
Yes, please.
Yes. The issue of resources. Maybe let me give the example of our own change project. We made sure that in the first place, it is a low-cost change project where we wouldn't really need lots of resources. But if you remember what I said in my presentation, because we realized that there may be some resources needed, then as an institution, we sat down as finance committee and we agreed that we have an ESD budget, at least to support the change project. So first is low cost, and second, an ESD budget. Thank you, Cindy.
I can also come in there.
Yes, please.
In the change projects that we have supported from SWEDESD, we have always supported projects that are running within the existing budget. That we understand that institutions will want to revise their curricula. Institutions will still run workshops. Institutions will still want to staff develop. Institutions will have to change for the better. That's how we have always operated. And then there are cases where you might need money for a workshop or this and that. Yes, that is understood. But what we have, the success and the sustainability of the projects that we have seen is when projects are run within existing budgets, they have got a better chance of succeeding.
I feel that it is key. There is one question on what strategy can I use towards the curriculum change to integrate the ESD when already in my institution we have done the curriculum review. So how then what can I do to integrate ESD in an already reviewed curriculum? Presenters, please, or panelists, please, can you quickly, this one is the last one, but I felt we cannot leave it out.
I think curriculum review is being viewed as a destination, that it comes and ends. Curriculum review is an ongoing process. So I've got two things to say here. The first thing is that curriculum review is an ongoing process. When this phase has come and gone, it doesn't mean that that curriculum is now cast in concrete. So it can change. And then the second thing is, when curriculum has been reviewed, that curriculum is a guideline. That curriculum has not reviewed the way you teach in your classroom. You are still in charge of what happens in your lecture room, in your classroom, with your students, etc. So the examples that you will use, the references that you will use will be in line with the 21st century demands. If you are innovative, so that everyone will see that this is more relevant than what we already have, I think your chances of succeeding there are actually quite bright.
Thank you very much, Sheperd. If anyone else who wants to give us one, Patty, I heard that yes, please.
Actually, Sheperd has said it all. All I wanted to say was curriculum review is not static. That's what I was going to say. And all that Sheperd said is really true, that what you do now in the classroom is really up to you. But we also have, quality assurance, standards control. It is important that whoever is responsible for standards control, quality assurance, is aware of what is happening. But like Sheperd said, really what you do in the classroom, it's you and your students. Thank you.
I think we all realize, colleagues, that this today's program is at the center of what the course is all about. That's why really now in all of us, we are starting to get into the thick of things, and we ended up taking so much time. But I think it was the most important that the presentation that we have. And I think this program, we will go back again and read and integrate, and the questions will still rise, and our presenters will always be there to answer us and support us. So let's get excited about it and be ready to start with our change projects. With those comments, I thank you all. I thank our presenters who are very, very good, and they have helped us to really think that this is doable, and they've given us practical examples which we can always refer to. So thank you very much all for giving your time. And I think the participants really benefited from it all. Charles, I don't know whether there is a comment or anyone wants to give a comment. Patty, you want to say something?
Sorry, Cindy, can I just say something quickly before we clock off? Just to alert all the participants to the website, the sustainabilityteachers.org website. There are some very nice examples of change projects on the website. And also, if you go into policy dialogue button, you'll find other examples. We sent that out in the document this morning, the links to those, but please do go there. There's many examples and you can get good ideas from the other examples. Thanks. Sorry for interrupting. So I just wanted to let people know.
Thank you so much, Prof. Hela. I'm sorry, sorry to ignore it. So this is very, very important. Thank you for chipping in with that very, very important information. I don't know if there is any announcement or Charles and anyone else.
Nothing from my side, Cindy.
If there is nothing, thank you again, and we will meet tomorrow, same time, and let's interact with the materials that we have, colleagues. Thank you so much. Have a good day as you go on and think about the change projects you want to do. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Cindy. Thanks very much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you very much from Zambia.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Everybody, have a good day.
Narangações.